Tell you what to do. Take it to the zoo. I hear retards like the zoo.
Hey, this bum gotta say that.
All
All right, back it up, buddy.
I'm calling you a bum.
Okay, relax. Buddy's in a bad mood. It's his prostate.
Oh, he's always in a bad mood. You know you ought to count your blessings, buddy. You're still a healthy person. You know that?
I don't like your face.
I don't like your Z's.
Kiss my ass.
I'll knock your shoulders out. Come on,
Relax.
Welcome back to another episode of The Harbor. I'm your boy, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with Scott and Casher, like usual, co-hosts, just so Casher doesn't feel left out. Today we are talking about my namesake, I guess. Okay, people at home. Before I was crowned the king of Volcano, I had a birth name, and that birth name was, well, I'll tell it to you now, Adrian. So when you have the name Adrian, there's only one movie that gets referenced to you your whole life, and we're finally covering that film. The first 4 films. I don't want to talk about the 5th one. And to be frank with you, I've never seen all of Rocky Balboa, so
it's all right.
It
has the most ridiculous name for a villain ever because his name is Mason Dixon, and it's Mason the Line Dixon, and it's a young black guy.
Yeah, I eventually want to sit down and watch it just so I can say I've completed the franchise, you know. But
it's like a C+.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the Creed films today. But if people want us to cover Rocky 5, 6, Creed 1, 2, and 3, you know, let us know. But I don't know about that. But Scott and I will be seeing Creed 3 later today. So
nice. I didn't realize you guys are going today.
The hype is real, you know, even though I don't even think Rocky's in it, but still it got me in the mood to rewatch the films because I hadn't watched them in like 6 or 7 years. And before we get started, my mom wanted to name me Andrew, and then my dad for some reason wanted to name me Alfonso. Or Azim, which is his father's name, which is a traditional Albanian name, and my xenophobic mom was like, "No, we can't do that." You know, he'll. And so they kind of met in the middle and settled on Adrian. And my dad, whose favorite films are fucking Rambo, Rocky, and The Godfather, and Goodfellas. You know, the fucking all American foreigner pick, macho man kind of movies. He claims, you know, it was inspired from these movies, and my mom denies it. She said, "No, it's just a beautiful name. We picked it because we liked it." I'm like, okay. But yeah, I didn't watch. I felt almost like resentment because of hearing people yell Adrian at me.
Hey, yo, Adrian.
So that I kind of didn't get around to watch these movies until I was a very young adult. But then,
really?
Yeah.
How old were you when you started watching these?
Like 18, 19.
Really? I thought you would have at least watched them in high school or something.
No,
because I was watching these in elementary school.
Yeah,
I loved them. We had the 1 through 5 DVD box set.
Yeah,
that's all there was.
Yeah.
And the side of the DVDs was each a portion of in the box set. The photo was him with the American flag draped around him. You know.
Yeah,
these movies are so over the top American, and it's
well, yeah, we'll get into that, and also I'll tell you about my dad, and what some of these movies mean to him. And you know, he's always really loved these movies. Obviously, it spoke to him as like someone just small working class man going the distance and all that. You know, it's an American story as it gets.
Yeah, no, and it's the underdog story. It is so archetypal. It translates to all cultures. Yeah. And all cultures understand boxing too. It's not like baseball or football where there's a bunch of rules. Boxing is, I punch the other guy until he falls down or I fall down.
The thing about this, I think, makes it the most American, probably one of the most American movies, the first one ever. I would say that Philadelphia is like the most American city on the fucking world, like the country.
Yeah, it's where the Constitution was written.
It's fucking gritty. There's a lot of hardworking fucking individuals. They come off kind of terrible, but in the end, they're all kind of good people, except for any sports fan in Philadelphia ever, which is why I love them. But also, like, just this whole fucking movie is just the plight of the working man, and I love it. And then even like when it delves into the second one, he don't want to fight again. He's cool with it until he's like, I need more money, Adrian.
The first, yeah, we'll start with the first one. And I like how hardened everyone is, that 70s gruff, grimy, fucking atmosphere of the city, similar to New York, but it's definitely its own distinct flavor of city, Philadelphia.
I think New York has a little more culture.
Yeah.
In terms of like, race.
Philadelphia has those nice, like, industrial backdrops you see, and with the like the harbor and the shipping and shit like that. Yeah,
like Philadelphia is more of like a maybe not more, but it feels more crime driven and grimy.
I'm pretty sure on the whole it is. I mean, they're, especially nowadays. It's
the common misconception, or just something people don't realize, because this is one of those movies that really set a lot of paths for sports tropes and movies and stuff, and for the underdog story and stuff. It's really probably one of the most popular of all time, but common misconception is that the whole movie's about him like training to beat Apollo Creed, and when a majority of the movie is just him trying to talk to Adrian and win over and be awkward in this relationship and stuff.
Yeah, it's a love story. He has to really be convinced to even want to fight Apollo Creed at one point.
Yeah.
What does Nick say? He's like, "You look better picking up spit buckets."
Yeah.
He's the most fucking lovable douchebag on the goddamn planet.
And that's what I like about it, is just somehow Rocky convinces this girl to love him. He's the most socially awkward weirdo guy, which you expect him from an outsider go in. You might expect Rocky, if you don't know anything about the movies, to just be like one of those classic cool guy, picks up women, does whatever he wants, but he's just really this like down to earth, real heart of gold, awkward dude.
He's almost Forrest Gumpy.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not special neat, but a few more shots to the head.
Like some of the shit he like tries to talk to Adrian is so awkward. It's almost like a comedy in that way. And she herself is so awkward that for an hour of the movie you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and Paulie is a fuck, and I don't know if he's even likable in the first movie because of the way he treats his sister, dude.
He kind of becomes more of a goofball in the other movies. Kinda, but he's still
just plain racist in the third one. But yeah, we'll get there.
Racist and sad drunk. Like the beginning of the third one, he's just like trying to fight Rocky over a job.
The first one, he's just like, he's trying to help his pal out and stuff like that. But then I don't know.
Well, so he's like consistently like, why don't you talk to your boss? Let me be the enforcer since you're doing this now. I'm sick of the meat shop. Like, and then like also trying to like pry into the fame of Rocky. Like during the interview in the meat thing, he's like popping his head out.
Yeah.
Like, get out. Get away. And then like he comes up, he's like, hey, is it cool if I use your image and make merch and make money off of you? And that's why the first one has the meat shop on the back of his robe for $3,000. It's so good. That's such a Philly thing. I feel like would happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tries to set up his introverted ass sister with him, and then when it actually goes to plan, then he acts like it's like a big deal. Like, what does Paulie actually want? Because every time something goes the right way, it's almost like he was never expecting it to actually happen or something.
I think he wants to be included in everything. I think he makes that very clear.
Yeah, but
later on in the series is that he's not. Once Adrian and Rocky kind of got together, he kind of fell to the side. And there's the whole scene where he comes home drunk and like destroys the whole house and kicks Adrian out. And it's like, because he doesn't have that control over two simple-minded individuals, he 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 kind of feels like he's left out of this whole thing. Like the family has expanded, but Paulie's still here, you know.
We don't get an insight into their upbringing. You can't imagine it's great.
Well, he says he raises her, so obviously if he's the one raising her, like, child services is not really a thing.
It's you're just talking about a man who's part of that generation and part of that culture who just doesn't know how to express his emotions in any way. No, so he wants to feel included and he wants to feel loved, but he doesn't know how to express that. And he just drinks. He has no real goals in life, which is kind of okay as long as you're not a complete fuck like he is.
Yeah.
There's a question of masculinity throughout this whole series, though. Delving into the first one, he doesn't mind losing because he goes the distance. And the second one, it's a little bit more like a matter of retirement to win and prove that this was not a fluke. And the third one, it's like, I'm not a fucking man if I don't jump in here and do this. And it's weird to see like the progression through this.
I feel the third one's more, it is that, but also that's what I like. To me, I feel like it should have just stayed a trilogy. As much as I liked some of the novelties of the fourth one, the third one really rounds off him and Apollo's characters really well, especially because like him delving, because now he's got the riches and the fame in the third one, but he doesn't believe in himself anymore, and that's a really powerful thing to try and overcome. And but in the first one, I was like, yeah, he's a guy, he just talks to himself, talks to whoever will listen, bounces a ball, walks around, bullshits. And you know, he could be a great boxer, but you know, whatever, I guess. It's just funny that Apollo just really happened to pick him, I guess.
It is, you need the patronage of a millionaire to make it in America.
Yeah.
It's not really, he didn't do it himself.
Give him a chance.
Yeah.
Like, he's the polar opposite of Apollo Creed. Apollo Creed is very like old school Muhammad Ali talking shit. Like, I'm the best there ever was, best there ever will be type stuff, which is, I love that. I love the ego.
One of my favorite character introductions in all of cinema is just him on the TV in that dinky bar. And you see him in a suit telling kids to, you know, go to med school instead of boxing. He's articulate. He's immediately the first thing you get is that he's intelligent and charismatic. You don't get strong. But I mean, you get that later. And he is kind of the polar opposite because there is it's also a very American idea. Rocky is known for his tenacity and kind of just his ability to throw his head against the wall over and over until he breaks through and to take anything. And it's said in the movies, Apollo's a better fighter. He is. Technically, he is a better fighter. It's just stupid brute will that Rocky is able to do a lot of the things that he does in those movies, which is incredibly American.
Which also speaks to the perseverance of man, and sometimes that's just what it takes. And I like I said, I like that most of the movie is just a romance film, and I like that he seems kind of forceful with Adrian, but it honestly needed to be done because she was so far introverted. Like, bless her heart, nothing good was ever going to come her way. Like, really, just Adrian. I like that Rocky just knows how somehow to get through to her to where she'll crack a smile and kind of loosen up a little bit. And then by the end of the movie, she's she's more of herself than she's ever been. I don't really. It doesn't go into why she's so reserved, but I guess
think it's just her life. That's what
Yeah.
she has done. She probably hasn't dated much. She works at a pet shop at a dead end job, you know,
Yeah.
even though she's in her 30s or whatever. By the way, that scene, which probably wouldn't have been filmed today, where they're in the apartment and he blocks her from leaving,
Yeah.
and he has his arm up on that pipe, and
Yeah.
his biceps bulging. I've heard women talk about that scene specifically of how sexy he is in that scene.
I don't know, man. That's see, we showed my brother that movie for the first time. He's 16, and when that scene happened, he blocked her from leaving. My brother was like, "Oh no," and
yeah,
because you know he knows
generational difference. These are older.
yeah, and it's cool that he was just like, "Nah," and then
don't do that.
He was like, my mom was like, "Yeah, that's not how you would treat a woman, would you?" And he's like, "Of course not." And I was like, here's the thing, I'm kind of split on it, because like you said, like some chicks like that scene, find it sexy.
I just think it's funny that they do. I'm not gonna read into it anymore. Also, here's the thing. It's a woman watching Rocky. It's not a woman actually in that situation with an amateur boxer. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Some dude at the boxing gym just bruises on his face. Is like, "Hey, you can't leave my apartment." That's not. It's a lot less romantic if it happens in real life.
And it's like you have to. He's kind of so socially inept and weird himself that it's kind of like he doesn't mean any harm by it. He's really just trying to say, hey, you know, like, you're loosen up a bit, you know, like, I'm not anything scary or anything like that. He doesn't really think too hard into it. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, look at my turtles.
Yeah.
He's definitely like the least harmful person in any of these movies, even though he's a fucking boxer and an enforcer at one point, which even that he's kind of naive to the fact, or is he naive to the fact that he's doing criminal shit, you know?
No, he knows. It's just
he doesn't like it, but he needs money, so he's a debt collector.
Fucking pool sharks and shit, you know. And which is it, you kind of forget as the movies go on that he kind of started in that shitty, dark kind of way, because that's, you know, a pretty shitty way to make a living.
It is that in boxing. It's one of those things. I do like the mafioso character. What's his name?
Yeah.
I mean, this is right around the time as The Godfather, when that interest in the culture was happening, and he's portrayed as respectable and such.
Yeah.
Gives him extra money to take her to the zoo or whatever he does.
Yeah.
Most iconic line in that movie.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, there's no way I would stand for something like that. But also that kind of like that line is it may be problematic, but it also shows like
it's supposed to be problematic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's problematic at the time of release.
She's introverted and weird, but she's
and that driver, he's just some asshole driver. He doesn't have any, he's not a psychologist. That's what's supposed to be. And Rocky, defends those. It shows Rocky wants to defend those he loves.
It's just also, but the first movie, he's like constantly talking to Adrian, and he just says almost like stream of consciousness bullshit, just constantly, and it's charming, but also gets kind of grating. And my mom, like, she was like, I could never date a man like that because he just stop talking, dude. I was like, I get it, but it's so endearing that it's funny. And one of
I've been on dates where it's felt like that.
Yeah,
where it's just like, do you want to say anything? Do you want to participate? Do you want to pretend?
But I feel like he's kind of just been looking for somebody, or it's just like,
who's he going to talk to?
Yeah,
about anything.
It's like a release for him. He has so many thoughts, and now he can just kind of just say whatever he's thinking. I think it's something he's been looking for and needed for a long time. So it's
Yeah,
kind
for
of like
sure.
We don't really see him.
it's almost like cathartic.
Yeah, it is, because we don't really see him. I mean, he's known in the neighborhood. People know him, and at the gym, and obviously mafioso. But he doesn't really have any friends we see in this first movie.
Besides Paul.
Yeah, Paulie kinda.
They're pals.
They're
But
pals.
that is
how
an
does he,
important.
does it? How does he know Paulie? Is that established?
I forgot.
I think they're still around, honestly.
Yeah, they're just the same neighborhood, kind of.
Yeah, and I will say that is an important aspect of the first two movies is that he is involved with the community. He hangs out. He talks to the kids. He tries to talk to that girl about not being a slut, et cetera, et cetera. And then, in the second one, he's like playing baseball with them. Just, it's a good way to have him connected to Philadelphia. That way it's like a stronger impact when he does what he does.
It is true. Makes me kind of sad because I don't think people don't have that kind of connection with their neighborhoods like they used to.
I know, yeah.
Just there's not as many quote unquote third places where people go other than home and work. I guess some people go to bars and stuff.
And then, I mean, not to be a downer, but a lot of those areas are getting in bigger cities are getting gentrified for fucking burger bars that are $15 burgers with no fries. You have to pay extra with the fucking lamps and the fucking brick
fucking lamps.
Those like old timey looking lamps that hang down. It's just
oil lanterns.
No, not
oil lanterns.
Locally sourced kava bars and craft coffee beans.
Yeah,
there's a kava bar.
Kava, it's like a legal opiate.
Yeah, don't do it.
Jesus.
Yeah,
either that or just rampant gun violence, which there's probably some of in this movie behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This and the Warriors could be the same city pretty easily.
The way Paulie acts towards Adrian, I would not stand for. When he fucking throws the Thanksgiving turkey out, that's the
bird. Go ahead and eat the bird.
That's the last
the delivery on that line.
I would be fucking pounding that asshole.
Yeah, dude. Mainly because of the food, but also
he just wants her to go out with Rocky.
You don't have to waste the fucking turkey.
He's doing a bro thing. You could go outside and grab a wing. He says that.
Bastard.
That's not even the worst thing I think he does to her.
Well, yeah, when he gets the baseball bat, that's worse.
Where he's yelling, "You're not a virgin," and it's weird. But also, we watched a few movies back from the 70s that have had weird brother sister shit in it. Like we watched the American Graffiti. The little sister saw her brother do something weird, and then it was never questioned again.
Oh yeah, that's brought up. I think it's I don't know. She probably just saw her older brother having sex and was like kind of curious, but then
I don't know. We forgot to talk about that on that episode. That is a really weird like throwaway line. Well, not really throwaway.
It's just one throwaway in the movie.
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck was going on about it.
So are you saying Paulie and Adrian are getting it on? What are you saying?
No. I'm just saying it's a weird thought to have about your sister to worry about who's been going inside her.
Well, back then it was just less of a like I don't know, like you say, oh, my sister's a virgin. Come on, man. Give it to her, I don't know. That was like a thing. I've seen that in plenty of movies back then.
Weird.
Some of the stories I hear from fucking older folks, it was like casual. Like you knew who was having sex and who wasn't back then. Shout out Joey Diaz.
It's still kind of like that. People know what's going on. They figure it out.
Yeah, but like
it is weird. It is weird to like set you up. I even had like my sister-in-law was like mentioning like setting me up with somebody, and the thought for me was like, is it weird to be like, hey, do you want to fuck my brother-in-law? Because that's kind of what you're doing.
What's wrong with just old-fashioned going out as a date? It doesn't have to be fucking.
Yeah, well, she wasn't that pretty.
Well, if my sister was a virgin at 30 years old, I'd be probably worried too. I wouldn't pull a bat out, but I'd be like, you need to get out there, dude.
Like you need to get some dick right now, or I'll hit you with this. You wouldn't do that?
Definitely not.
Cool.
I do want to say, I think one of the funniest parts about when they have their relation, like start their first date, is they go to the roller rink, and for one, he has to pay off that guy to keep it open.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes, and two, she's skating, and he's like, doesn't want to skate. So he just walks beside her and continues to talk about himself.
I've heard people almost argue that either Adrian and or Rocky are autistic, which people say that about a lot of characters and historical figures and everything now. Sometimes it's true, sometimes not. I can kind of see it, at least in this first one.
Yeah. And
Rocky 2 and 3, they're by 3 especially and onward, he's more, I don't know.
There's Street Rocky, and then there's Suit and Tie Rocky. And in the first one,
a lot of fighters though, it's weird.
That's what I said though, is like, as a joke, I did say it was like watching an episode of Love on the Spectrum because of how weird and awkward it all is. And I'm not saying anything mean. I'm just saying it's interesting.
No, it's supposed to be, but that's why it's endearing.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard they love the zoo.
And that's another misconception going into this movie people might have, is that, oh, of course, Rocky, he's the underdog, he's gonna win at the end, and it's gonna be, that's the whole thing, is that he wins, when he doesn't win at all. And that's why it's a classic. Fucking badass.
Have you talked to people who haven't seen Rocky who assume that's what it is?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
And I guess I don't.
So many sports movies are so predictable now, and have been since like the 90s, that people just assume. Justin was assuming all kinds of shit about this movie. I mean, he's never seen it, and he didn't even have an interest in it because he thought it was just some stupid, lowbrow, basic fucking family movie or something. He doesn't know.
And he still hasn't seen it?
No, he's never seen Rocky.
He needs to watch it, dude.
I know he does.
This is a universal. He could show it to his girl. This is a universal movie.
It was me telling him that like most of this movie is a romance and has nothing to do with boxing, that he was like, "Oh, what? My interest is peaked now." I'm like, "Really? Okay."
No.
He goes the distance though, and like going the distance for any fighter is a good thing. Like
the champion of the world.
Yeah. With the analog for, Muhammad Ali or whatever. It's interesting that that's the way he does it. And then, he first thing he wants Adrian. He wants to go home. So,
and it's very powerful that just going the distance has him reacting the way he does. I think that's why it stuck with people for so many years, because he just wants to celebrate with Adrian. And that ending, really, when she's like trying to get through the crowd and she's like screaming at her and stuff, and that is probably one of the greatest endings in fucking cinema to me.
It is, because I mean, everything that people do in some way is to get a more basic need. When you're amassing wealth, you want power. When you're amassing fame, you want love. These are distanced versions of very basic core needs. Yeah. And what he essentially needs is to feel value, and that even just going the distance is that. Because I mean, that's so many people, and they might have one great moment in their life, and that's it. And just even knowing that you've done the best you can according to your genetics and upbringing, sometimes that has to be enough, because not everybody can make it. But you can at least go the distance. Now, obviously, there's sequels to this in which he goes farther than the distance.
But that was good enough for him, because in the second movie, he's fine with that being it, and he proved his worth, and now he wants to just try and do some commercials and just do some shit. And I do feel bad for him, because when he does try to do the commercials in the second one, it's so miserably awkward because he can't say lines. But it's like also like before they shot these commercials, why didn't they work with him on delivering lines? It's like they're just gonna have you step into the set and be ready to go because he just delivers it like, oh, yeah, this cologne is this, and this, and it's like the director's getting so mad at him, but it's like, dude, you gotta like get him out of his shell to fucking talk to the audience, sell it to the TV. I don't know. That's just so frustrating that.
Well, that's what's interesting is a lot of the greatest fighters, we think that it's being a great fighter is not just being a great fighter. Again, that's why Ali was who he is. And even if you have no interest in boxing, just as a civil rights leader, as a man, he was such an amazing human being. I was living in Kentucky when he died, and a shroud fell over the state. I'm serious. Yeah. I saw people wearing shirts like in memoriam walking around and stuff. So, but even somebody like Tyson, obviously his media appearances, even though who knows what the heck's going on in his head. Shit talkers like Conor McGregor, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't follow fighting enough to know who the non-shit talkers are, but I know Conor McGregor because he's such a shit talker.
Yeah. And it's just like weird that was like his only chance to do commercials in the beginning. Also, like, I forgot that the second one picks up literally right after the first one. And they're like, and they go to the hospital and stuff. And it's like, it's good that you get to see the actual aftermath of them, like him on a table, and they're like looking at him and sewing up shit and telling him like, if you fight again, your eye is you're gonna go blind, basically.
Yeah. Well, you also get that moment between him and Apollo Creed in the hospital.
Yeah.
Where he walks by his room and is like, "Did you give it your all?" And Apollo Creed is like, "Yeah, I did." And so he gets confirmation, and that kind of sets him in his mindset, like, I did what I needed to do. Like, there's nothing else for me to go. There's nothing topping this. If I could go out on top in my head. And then, Apollo Creed gets on TV and demands a rematch and starts to go at him.
Doesn't he ask for a rematch in the hospital?
Yeah, he's like pissed off in the hospital.
Which is it's always weird to me because that's, let's say, an hour later.
Yeah.
After he said in the first one, there's gonna be no rematch.
Yeah.
He changes his mind so quickly, I guess.
Well, he didn't perform as well as he intended. And this would be like, I keep drawing back to Ali because it's a literal clear. Like, that's who this is.
This is based on a Chuck Wepner fighting Ali, is what this is.
So it'd be like Ali going the distance with some unknown fucking fighter.
Yeah.
Ali.
That's his name.
Yeah. So it's like, he wouldn't let that stand. Like, he would have to prove that he is a god amongst men, that no mere mortal could stand and fight him the entire time. And that's like the big thing is the ego. Like, boxers have egos.
Yeah. But you're wondering, you're wondering if you haven't seen him before going in, maybe like Apollo's gonna, he's got such an ego on the other side that he's gonna pretend like it was a clear victory or something, like he doesn't give a fuck, like he won and that's it. But no, he's consumed by this because he knows deep down that he fucking lost. And that's where it becomes real interesting, because the whole movie he's just seething over it and he's consumed by it.
Because there's definitely the thought of the judges were just doing it in his favor, because you can't just have this guy from nowhere take the heavyweight championship belt and shake up the entire boxing industry. I do love the scene. Yeah, it's so powerful, and you get how annoyed his wife is of him in his mansion reading all his hate mail of people calling him a fake and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So good.
That's a very important scene to his character. And that's what I like so much about the second one, is how much more it fleshes out Apollo Creed, and we really get more of him. And so once it gets to the rematch, it's way, way powerful.
Stakes are high.
The second one, it goes further with the working class heart of gold Rocky kind of thing, because he's really out there trying to get a new job, just a regular ass job, and you feel bad for him because he does try to get like a desk job, and they're like, no, you don't have a high school degree, bro. And every single one of them tells him, wouldn't you just rather be, out there doing manual labor? And he's just like, I guess. It's just
do that forever. And he gets laid off at the meat packing place.
Yeah, and it's not like he's begrudgingly working at the meat packing place. He's giving it his all. He's working real hard, and that's a good detail, is that he really is trying to work hard, and even tries to stay on when the guy's trying to lay him off. And
it's good character development. And that's the thing. Any athlete, it's interesting. I hear SNL writers and cast members talk about the athlete guest stars, how their mental is just like, what is my goal? What is a sketch? And they have this laser focus that's unlike any of the other guest stars that come on that show. And that's just what you have to have for an athlete. And that's one thing that, God, I almost wish I didn't suck at sports and hate sports so much, because I do think it's good for kids to like be able to look at a task, even if it's something very physical, like put a ball in the goal, and just focus their energies on that, or skateboarding where you're just failing over and over and banging your knees up.
Too bad I suck at all sports.
Yeah, but me too.
I tried them all and was never good at any of them.
I was kind of okay at tennis, but I'm too fat for that now. I would have to leave.
Tennis. I've never tried tennis. Not seriously. Me and Casper played badminton in PE. That was fun.
Yeah, I don't know. This is also just a few weeks when I was 10, so maybe that doesn't count.
Oh yeah, there's also the part where he spends pretty much all of his winnings on getting a new house, a new place. Nothing too crazy, but nicer than that rundown ass apartment. And that's right. He does all this right after like telling Adrian, like, she's like, I don't want things to change, and he's like, they're not going to, all that stuff. But like, you don't want to just sit in some shitty apartment, do you? If you have the means, just to say, because you're from the streets or whatever.
No, it's I would say a pretty modest. It's 2 stories, but it doesn't seem huge. It seems like a townhouse or something.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Especially if like you're coming from a rough neighborhood to going to having money, living in.
Well, they're raising a family.
Well, continuing to live in the same neighborhood is dangerous. If you go from having nothing to having thousands, which I mean, he's not.
But also, like
wealthy by any means in this movie. That's why he has to go back and fight.
Right. And living in that rough ass area on your own as a man, can be doable. But now you have a woman who's also now telling you she's pregnant. Yeah, you're going to want to fucking get out of there.
Well, and it's one of those interesting things where there is almost, people talk about that crab bucket mentality with poverty. And we see that with Polly a lot of, when anybody escapes, there's resentment. And the weird thing, by making it and becoming more stable, you have to sever your roots somewhat. Which is an interesting thing. This is a weird connection, but Kendrick Lamar talks about that a lot. It makes me think that.
But
and then we're jumping ahead, but in Rocky 3, that softens him, and that's what he has to reconnect with his roots in a way. And in Rocky 5, he really reconnects with his roots, moving back to the old neighborhood. But that movie blows, and even Sylvester Stallone ignores it. So
yeah, Stallone gave that movie a 0 out of 10, which is harsh.
He said that.
Yeah, but also it's it's the studio's fault for fucking interfering with the darker storyline, and it was supposed to be the death of Rocky, and it was supposed to be the final movie, and the whole movie was setting it up to kill Rocky off thematically, and then when it doesn't do it, it makes the whole movie fall flat. So it's fucking, there's no point to it.
No.
But and the second movie,
I feel like every Rocky movie is supposed to be the last Rocky movie. It's kind of like Rambo.
The first two work really well as a duo watch.
Yes.
But the third one really rounds off the characters. But the second one, you get Adrian really trying to reason with him to not go back to boxing. And it's only because he said that he wasn't ever going to go back in the first place, which annoys me because, like, okay, I said one thing one time ago. That doesn't mean it has to be concrete forever in stone. And now
it does if you're a woman.
But like that, it's like, of course, I understand wanting to protect the person you love, especially when they said you can go fucking blind. Or he was beating the shit out of and went 15 rounds with, like, how many times he gets punched in the face in that first fight is insane.
There's more. My dad always said there's more punches thrown in a single fight in a Rocky movie than there are in an entire season of heavyweight boxing.
No, absolutely.
There's
just
a lot of more dancing around and stuff,
like,
which is interesting now that UFC has supplanted it as the fighting sport of, because it's more brutal and we're more desensitized, so we need blood. But how much quicker those fights are comparatively.
Yeah, like the one the other night, like
fucking John Jones.
It was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, we were watching that at the bachelor party, and I fucking flipped out.
Matt was like, you should tune into this real quick, and then we'll play some video games. And then I looked at the stream, and it was already over. I was like, what?
Yeah, old Junkie Jones is back in action, friends. Yeah, no, I do want to point out that I think it is this movie that Rocky proposes, isn't it? Or does he propose in the first?
At the zoo.
Yeah. Yeah. God, Jesus.
It is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But
hey, you wanna? I don't know.
I'm thinking about maybe you and I, which it does bring back that awkward charm again. I do like that, and he's still walking around bouncing his ball and stuff.
He's like, "Hey, Mr. Tiger, you want an invite? You can come too."
Yeah, and because he's got that slick jacket and he's got the brand new car and stuff, but he's still got the old school street charm, which is a good blend.
Street tardation
in this movie. And I do like the way he just casually proposes to her, and then they just get married. I kind of expected it to be like a big extravagant wedding after all the shit that he's trying to buy.
He's a good Catholic boy.
But it's just it's just a nice little quiet ceremony.
That's how all Catholics have their weddings. I swear to God, it's never gonna. All Catholics will have it in a nice cathedral, and it'll be very boring.
It is a very nice cathedral in that movie. Old school fucking cathedral.
Yeah.
But
bro.
Huh?
Catholics in the Northeast.
Oh yeah.
It's not like us Baptist weddings where you have to light a barn on fire here.
Go to a beach.
Yeah.
You either go to a beach or a plantation if you're a Baptist.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind a beach wedding. I mean, it might be kind of cool.
I've been to a beach wedding. That's nice.
Gay.
Yeah, for going to a heterosexual wedding. Before the Supreme Court legalized that.
I will say, I want to hear y'all's opinions on one of the parts. The kind of bothers me. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not really sure. But it's like the whole thing is that she is against him going back into boxing, even though it's like this could change his life for the better. Don't you want to, I get the downside of possibly dying or going blind or whatever, but she's pretty much adamant about this, which frustrates me because when you argue with your partner about certain things, sometimes it's just like, just please see my side, God damn it. And it's for the greater good. But she has complications because she went back to work at the pet store while pregnant, which would make me sick to my stomach if I was her partner. And that's when he feels emasculated a bit but he's so desperate for cash because of the house they've gotten into that he's like, well, if that's what you're thinking about doing, instead of saying no, I'll find a way. It's kind of sad. He is very desperate and tells her okay. And so yeah, she's lifting some shit. She has problems with her baby, and then she delivers a month prematurely, but slips into a coma because of the loss of blood. And obviously that's where you get an actual pretty solid emotional performance out of Stallone when he's crying over her and stuff, and he's looking rough, and he's just not sleeping and sitting in the church at the hospital. That's a very strong part of the movie. But he it's when she wakes out of the coma that she suddenly is like, yeah, go fucking win this shit. And it's no longer an issue. And I'm wondering if that works for you or if it doesn't.
It mostly works. Okay. I have not seen Rocky 2 immediately recently. I have to say on that cast, but I've seen that movie 10 times or something.
Yeah.
This is somewhat of an impromptu pick for us, but it worked for me at the time. You could argue it was stuff like she's almost like YOLO, because I almost died anyway. So you might as well try to get what you can.
Yeah, I get that angle. I don't know. She was so adamant before the.
It does seem like maybe some contrived drama just to do it. I definitely think Rocky 1 is the stronger film.
Yeah. A lot of people argue that Rocky 2 is the best of all of them.
I've talked to people who that's their favorite.
And for a while, Rocky 2 was my favorite, but then on rewatch, I was like, no, I think I like the first one a bit more. The second one, it has a lot of good stuff. And that's what I do like, is that the second one really doesn't hit any of the same beats as the first one. Like, it's not like a carbon copy, and it's a growth. It's a growth. And there's only like one scene that it reproduces, but in a different way. We'll talk about in just a second. But I guess if I were her and I had to take this job at the pet place because he's not boxing, and this is why this occurred, I guess when I got out of my coma, I'd be like, yeah, fuck working. Yeah, go fucking kill yourself in the boxing match, I guess, or do something.
Dude, worst case scenario, I get life insurance.
I get to take care of now.
I just feel like it could have been a little bit like more of a transition from adamantly being opposed to suddenly be like, go get him, Tiger.
We needed dream sequences in her coma.
Yeah, no. And that's the fair point, is that I don't know what it would be. So it does hit hard where she's just dramatically, it does hit hard where she's like,
it's dramatic.
Go win.
So, and the bells that starts doing.
Yeah.
It's a good moment. You could argue it's contrived, but that's the thing. It gets you pumped, man.
I do want to say,
so good.
It's the rule of cool, my man.
It is the rule of cool. It's absolutely that one of just she's out of a coma when he's like running up stairs.
And that's the thing. That is my favorite sequence in the entire franchise, is when he does the run again from the first one, but this time all of the children of the neighborhood are coming behind him as the music swells. And that by the time he gets to the Rocky steps, it's like hundreds of kids behind him, all jumping and running with him. And then they all like jump up together. And the music is like, oh man, that is like my favorite scene in the whole movie. And that's a great way to do a similar scene from the first movie, but make it show growth and expansion.
Yeah, have an actual point in the development of the character and the story.
Right.
No,
I do want to say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it's a douchey thing, but to get all the shots they had of him on those various streets, somebody tracked out where he would have to run, and they'd be like, he would have to run like 30 miles to go through all these streets at all these locations where he's been.
Who the fuck does that shit? Like, that's in every fucking movie.
Yeah. Who cares? Half the movies we watch are Vancouver anyway.
We want to fucking make it look good. Like, what?
Yeah. No, we need a single tracking stop of him stopping at crosswalks and doing that. Rocky 1 invented the Steadicam. That's cool.
I do want to say there is a scene during that coma though that really kind of made me like Mickey a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Because when he's sitting in the church praying alone, Mickey comes in there and prays to his own. I guess he's Jewish or something.
Yeah, he is Jewish.
So he prays to his own God, which are the same gods technically, but says a prayer.
No, they're not.
Well, he says that prayer with Rocky, and it shows that Mickey doesn't, because in the first one, it kind of seems like Mickey's just looking for a way back into the thing.
Yeah.
Rocky points that out. He was denied, and then he's picked, and now Mickey comes along. But now it shows that Mickey gives a fuck about Rocky. Like he wouldn't train him because he was scared of his health, but he's training him because he knows his masculinity and his legacy could be tarnished.
But I'm glad you brought up Mickey because we haven't talked enough about him, and that's another powerful scene is that he wants Rocky to come back and train with him, and Rocky lashes out and is like, no, you didn't want me when I was a nobody, you didn't want this, why wasn't I picked or what, just different stuff like that. And then Rocky has to accept really fast that he knows deep down that he needs Mickey to train him, otherwise it's not gonna happen. And so the way he has to begrudgingly accept this is I don't know, it's a really cool part of the movie.
It shows a moment of weakness and it humanizes him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think Rocky's kind of like Superman. In the later stories, you have to keep nerfing him or getting stupidly strong opponents. I also think one of the reasons Mick didn't train him initially, because he calls him a bum. Yeah. And I think the thing is he realizes Rocky is talented more in kind of a brute force way and just iron will, but he doesn't use it for anything. In the first movie, I'm talking. And so he just sees it as almost wasted potential. Like, I'm going to go with these guys who actually do what I say and not complain and not half-ass it, because I guess he feels like Rocky's half-assing it through life. And then, he's
also, he kind of doesn't want to work for someone who's actively a criminal too.
Yeah, that's it.
And then also he's like 29, 30, which is pretty late to start your boxing career.
Well, it's late. He's been doing it for years. It's late to have your breakout at fucking 30.
Yeah. But that makes it even more impressive, really. It's awesome.
It just reminds me of like Kimbo Slice. Rest in peace, that guy. He was doing those street fights and he made his UFC debut in like later in life and lost immediately. So like it's not a bad concern, but it's definitely superficial. But then once you get to Rocky 2 and 3, there's a genuine like almost like paternal bond between Rocky and Mickey. Yeah. You see that come fully is like in the third movie. Mickey's having health problems. Mickey's ready to stop. His heart can't take it anymore, and he finally kicks the bucket, and Rocky is devastated,
Yeah.
We need that motivation. We need that con sort of thing. We need that moment.
The venom that Apollo spits basically at Rocky towards the end of the second one is really badass. And the fight, when it finally does get to that fight, the rematch, it's like you can feel the pressure so well that they're good at building hype. And also I wanted to say I love the way they actually shoot the fights, because they get the good intense close-ups when they need it, but a lot of it they do get back and do it from almost like a broadcast kind of perspective, so it gives it a lot of breathing room, and also you get a good sense of placement of where they are in the scene, and that always helps for fighting scenes, even if it's a sports movie.
You need your establishing shots.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just kind of interesting to have that diegetic connection. I feel like, I'm trying to think, it's been so long since I've seen Raging Bull. I think Raging Bull really focuses on the subjective POV in the boxing scenes, which is great. But I don't think it does that objective POV as much as Rocky does, and that's just a directorial decision.
Sure,
and that's what fits these movies.
Definitely two different kinds of movies.
Yeah,
but yeah, that I love the way the fighting scenes are shot in these movies, and I like that each of the final boxing matches are all distinctly different from what happens and how Rocky operates, and you see him grow as a fighter, especially in the third one when he's taunting Clubber Lang and shit.
Yeah, he has to switch up his whole, like, he's a southpaws are fucking they're normal in boxing. A lot of the greatest fighters ever are fucking southpaws.
Yeah.
So much so they made a whole movie called Southpaw. But like when he goes to fight Clubber Lang's been watching footage of fucking Rocky since probably he was a kid. You know,
it's only a few years later, dude.
Well, I'm saying
since he was a teenager, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he was younger. Clubber Lang's not that old whenever he starts to pop off. Like he's again, another analog to a boxer. He's fucking Mike Tyson. This is Mike Tyson
for sure.
Clubber Lang comes in. He's young. He's fucking bloodthirsty. He's ready to ruin the fucking world. And Rocky's just not about it until he starts talking about Adrian and realizing that Mickey has fixed all of his fights. Like not necessarily fixed it, but picked opponents he knew Rocky would smash, which that's what happens with these contracts a lot of the time. That's why you have fights to this day, sign the fucking contract or, shut your mouth about it. And so this whole time, Rocky's fighting and he's confident in his fighting style, but he's absolutely got to now switch it up because he's predictable and people know how to fight him.
Yeah. And that's why I like he becomes the champion at the end of the second one. And I like that he holds up Apollo with him and stuff because that's what Rocky would do, obviously. And Apollo is obviously humbled by this fallout because in the third one, obviously, he steps up to the plate. But yeah, if anyone out there is studying filmmaking and you need to know how to make a montage, study Rocky 3, because if you'll notice at the beginning, just see how much information is conveyed in 3 minutes at the beginning when they do the Eye of the Tiger thing, because that whole montage, it shows Rocky. Now he's the champion and now he's defending his title to a bunch of different people. He's becoming successful. It has the Time magazine shot, all the he's on the Muppets, all the pop culture stuff. Meanwhile, it shows Mr. T or Clubber Lang watching him from afar the whole time, and you get to see just how quickly that develops Clubber Lang as a character in like 3 minutes. And
you immediately know what the movie is about. You both know the external conflict of the movie of here's this new guy, and you know the internal conflict of the movie, which is Rocky getting soft and losing touch with his roots.
Well, it also shows the end of an era in boxing where boxing, I mean, it got personal, but it didn't get as personal as fucking telling you're gonna fuck someone's wife or something like that. Like there's a lot more respect between fighters back whenever Apollo and Rocky were fighting. Clubber Lang is one of those he's the new blood that is coming to hurt you. He wants to end your career and be the best and be the pinnacle of this sport. And that's like, again, the analog to Mike Tyson's just fucking scary because like Mike Tyson would be in interviews and he's like, I'm going to make you my bitch. I'm going to fuck you in the ass. Which it's one of his most iconic quotes, which I won't say the whole thing because it's pretty expletive, but he goes on this tirade and he's just like, I'll make you my bitch. I'll fuck you in the ass and have you call me daddy. Yelling at these motherfuckers because they're angry and they've been put into this sport to unleash their anger. This jumps ahead, but I was reading into Clubber Lang afterwards, and apparently there was a story where they were going to bring him back and show him for a second. He's a born-again Christian, which, if you know anything about Mike Tyson now, Mike Tyson has now smoked a bunch of DMT and is now very spiritual and in tune with his emotions.
Yeah, well, he still punched that dude on the airplane, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of Darwinism though. If you're fucking with Mike Tyson and you get
fucking
punched,
idiot.
I mean, you're an idiot. Like, here's the thing. There's this. I don't support Mike Tyson. I know he did his time and everything, but he's a convicted rapist. And one interviewer journalist was like, brought that up, and he was like, I don't want to talk about this. You know, this is why I came here. And he keeps pressing him. He's like, how about you shut the fuck up? And then the guy's like, sir, we're on camera. You can't say that. He's like, I don't give a fuck, shithead. Like, he just, imagine bringing that up to Mike Tyson and thinking that's a good idea. I would be the nicest. I would not be an ally that day. I would be like, hi, Mr. Tyson. How are you? Please don't murder me with your bare hands.
And that's what I like. And that's a common thing with like the third film in the trilogy is the hero is at his height and he gets broken. And like seriously, when it opens kind of with him getting that giant fucking statue of him in Philly, and
which that statue is still there to this day.
Yeah. I don't think it's in. I think it's in a park now. It's not in that same place.
There's a curse on sports teams that play Philly if you go and put your jersey on top of fucking Rocky, because people do that. People will come to the city to watch some sports team play whatever Philadelphia sports team. That sports team gets fucking annihilated usually.
Yeah. It's the ghost of Rocky Balboa.
It's like
that's
fucking
badass.
Yeah, people, man, it's fucking crazy. I remember seeing so many jerseys and then seeing the scores afterwards, and it's like, fuck, do not do that.
That's hilarious. Sports fans are so weird.
And that's the thing is that like Rocky's so down to earth these first two movies that even in the third one he's getting a statue to his name and he has all this wealth now and like fame, but you can still kind of see a glimmer of like, what the fuck is this when they unveil the statue? There's still that hint of like, I don't know about this. This is too much. And so at least you still have that there. So when he finally does break down and try to figure out who he is, that there's a setup for that with the statue. And it reminds me of another trilogy